I'm just gonna talk for an hour. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck anymore. I just need to talk. I need to start doing something. I'm driving, yo. I'm driving home. I got a 45-minute commute home, so I'm just gonna start driving. I gotta badge out real quick though. But I don't know. I was just yapping. I yap. Probably because I haven't finished my coffee, but which is crazy because usually I finish my coffee around like 1. But I also didn't take my Adderall until about 1, so I realized midday that I didn't take my Adderall this morning, which is fucking crazy. So I took my Adderall, and maybe that's why I've got all this energy, which is even crazier because I haven't even gone to the gym yet. I have to go home, crush a Celsius, do some laundry, maybe throw my laundry in the wash, and then freaking go to the gym, get that pump, leg day pump. She's gonna be sick. It's gonna be tight. Get that leg day pump. But I'm like, damn, what am I gonna? What's my mental gonna be like after I crush that cells? What's gonna happen to me? Am I gonna die? Am I gonna transcend and become a different kind of being, a different person? Maybe. A better person? Quite possibly. Unlikely. One can hope. Yo, unopened fucking Sprite can just on the road? Crazy, dude. Who's dropping Sprite cans like that? It's nuts. Anyway, yeah, I just figured I would just fucking start talking. I don't care. Whatever. I say I don't care, but I do care. I don't know why I say that a lot. Clearly, I have a lot to say. Clearly. Because I'm always talking. I never stop talking. I literally cannot stop talking. I'm like Yapper Supreme. If that was like a title that I could have, it'd be Yapper Supreme. This is why I want to fucking... It's not even like... It's so crazy, because it's not even like... I mean, yeah, part of it's like, how cool would it be to have like a successful podcast where like I could just do this and like do content creation and shit like that. Part of it's also... for me, because like I just like to talk. And I have so many thoughts that I want to like get out into the world and I want to say... That's why I'm going to talk, and I'm probably going to talk nonstop for like 45 minutes, to be honest. Because like it's almost like therapeutic for me to talk, because I feel better when I talk about things, and I feel better when I let things out. You know, when I talk about my life. That's why I'm like, maybe vlogging is the way to go for me. Not that anyone's going to ever watch or care. That's fine. I mean, whatever. I don't expect anyone to. My blinker's faster than it should be because my back taillight is probably, I think, is out or dying, and I just haven't changed it yet. That's the crazy of me. Why wouldn't I do that? Anyway, that's a side topic. That's just unrelated to what I was going to talk about. I don't really have anything like super on subject to talk about. I don't have any subjects, but I think, you know, it would be sick to have a sit-down podcast type thing. But then I'm like, yeah, I mean, like, you go back and I go back and forth on like, you gotta fix the hair. I gotta make sure the hair look good. You know, I gotta make sure they look good. I go back and forth because I'm like, do I really want to be... I don't want to be the kind of person, the fucking normie type of guy who's like, oh yeah, I'm a white guy with my glasses and I want to start a podcast. I could take two routes. I could do two things. I could either start a podcast or I could start doing microbrewing. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy. But at the same time, who gives a fuck? Who cares? You know, people are like, oh, we just don't need another white man podcast. I'm like, well, then don't listen to it. So? But also, like, it's not like I'd be using it to be like, yeah, white men are the best. I'd be like, no, white men fucking suck. We ain't shit. We're the worst. We're a fucking cum stain on humanity. The freaking way that we treat other people and the way that, like, with our privilege and the way that, like, white people have just kind of just, like, ruined other cultures. All we do is steal from other cultures. We don't have our own. You can't be like, yo, what's white culture? I'd be like, I don't know, like not handling spice and stealing other people's stuff. I don't know. What else do you want me to say? Racism. Religion. I mean, there are obviously religious people who are not white. That's fine. I was like, I don't have anything against people who are religious. Of course not. Only the ones that are assholes and like either try to push it on you or try to tell you that you don't need to, you shouldn't exist because their religion or their God said so. Anyway, all that being said, again, I yap a lot. I talk a lot. Yap is the new word I'm hearing from the cultural, the societal cultural phenomena that is the internet. yeah, I mean, we're trying to get this shit off the ground. But the only way that we're actually going to get anything off the ground is just for us to start. So I need to start making those steps. And I'm like, today is a great day for it because I have no other plans. I don't have a Celtics game to watch tonight. I don't have a movie to go see. I don't have anything to do after the gym, and I have leftovers to eat, so I'm not going to cook. So like realistically, I'm kind of just chilling. So I'm going to finish my workout, go home, shower, do whatever. I don't know. And then, yeah, maybe I'll stream. I'll probably stream and video edit because I got to put out my first episode of my Alan Wake 2 replaythrough, my playthrough for the final chapter version, final draft version. And then maybe do something with this. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm not going to edit this one. I think this is just going to be live car vlogging where I just kind of talk to the camera. And I don't know. I'm not going to do this daily, but maybe I'll do this a couple days a week, or maybe I'll do this on like Mondays and Thursdays or something like that. That'd be kind of fun. But, or just like days where I have something to say, which is a lot. I do have a lot to say, and I'm always on that shit. Like my brain literally can't not say things. Like I just need to let it out, you know. Maybe I'm mentally unwell. Maybe I'm mentally unstable. I don't know. Probably not, but it's like I was saying to someone on my kickball team yesterday. I've had 3 psychiatrists tell me I'm well adjusted for the amount of shit that I've had to deal with in my life. And there's, you know, I mean, there's definitely people that I know and people like in the world who've definitely had to put up with more. Like I am just like a straight white man in America, so like for the most part everything's pretty cash money for me. But like I don't know, I had some shit going on when I was a kid. I had shit I had to deal with. That's real. That shit's real, raw. Trauma. But yeah, I mean, the only way that we're going to get anything going off the ground and the only way things are going to actually progress and things are going to happen is if we actually just do them. And this year I've told myself this is the year that I'm going to do things. This is going to be the year that I actually like take risks and like leaps of faith and like, or not leaps of faith, but leaps of, you know, like courage and just actually do something with what I want to do. And like, I've kind of realized that I think I go way too specific sometimes with what I want to do, and I need to keep it more broad. Like I don't need to be like I don't need to be like a very specific type of surgeon or like a writer who writes exclusively this kind of thing. I want to be an entertainer. I like to entertain people. Really, I like making people laugh. Like that's the thing I like doing the most, and I like when people like are entertained by what I'm doing. So like that's why I really liked acting, and I want to do that again. I love streaming on Twitch, and I love like when people laugh, and I love making my friends laugh, and I love making strangers laugh. I want to start doing stand-up. I mean, that's something that I've already kind of like started to. I got a joke book. I have a joke book now, and I haven't written anything in it yet, but I have some things I want to write down. I carry it around with me now, so that if the mood strikes me, and or something funny happens or pops up, or I say something that makes a whole group of people laugh, I'm like, all right, let me write that down. I gotta write that down. I just love it. Like I love going to bars and like making people laugh. Like I go to the bar, like our local place, the place that we're always going to, and like I'll make people laugh all the time, and it's great. I fucking love it. I was like, I love being funny like that. I was like, do I think I'm funny? Yes, I do. And that's, you know, and that's not just me trying to stroke the already massive ego that I have. But like I don't know. I get told that I'm funny, and like then the anxious part of my brain's like, do they actually mean that, or are they just being nice? And then I make strangers laugh, and I'm like, no, I've got it. Especially since I've been on Adderall, like I've got it. My thoughts have slowed down. It doesn't seem like it right now, but my thoughts have slowed down since I've been on the AD, and they've been a little bit more precise in the level of comedy in which it feels heightened. The jokes that I make feel heightened. They feel superior to like the jokes I used to tell, and they feel more refined, and they feel like more like they're like better written. Like they replaced the writers of the TV show That's My Life with someone who's just a better, smarter, funnier writer. It's kind of how it feels. But yeah, I mean, so we're trying to get that podcast off the ground, Tom and and I'd love Rachel to be on it, Jeremy on it, it'd be sick, the four of us, or if it's just Tom and I and we have guests, that's also cool. I also want to do I have a comic thing that I'm trying to get off the ground. I have a film thing I'm trying to get off the ground. But those stages, I'm just trying to figure out what I want, like how I want it set up. I have an idea of how I want it set up, but I don't know what I want to do for the background. I don't think I would do multicam. The podcast, I'd love to do some kind of multicam setup. For the comic and the film thing, I think those are just going to be shows. And I think they're going to be, again, I would love to get to a point where I can do them weekly, but I think it's probably going to be every other week, just because like I just don't think it's feasible for me to do it weekly. Because I mean, unless I do like 2 at a time, like I could do 2 episodes at a time, be like, hey, can you come over? Do you want to come over? And we're going to shoot for like 2 hours. We're going to do an hour of this, have like overlap some guests, or like have a guest come over, shit like that. But I need to figure out what I want to do for the background, because that's the thing that I'm really struggling with the most, is I want to have an interesting background. And I have an idea for a background that I can do, which would be kind of interesting, but it's just a matter of actually where I'd film it and where I'd place it, because the background would be manufactured. It'd be like a backdrop kind of thing that I would build. I was thinking I could build almost like a wall that's in like 2 or 3 pieces or 4 pieces that I just stack on top of each other, and like I could either slide into place, or like have brackets or something like that on the sides that like clip in or whatever, and then that way it's like, oh look, a wall of shelving with some stuff on it in the background, and that's the set. And if I need to, when I'm done with it, I can just take it apart, put it away super easy. I don't even know where I would put that, where I can get good lighting, or put that where like it'd be adequate and I'd enjoy, like I'd like it. So I have to play around with it a little bit. But like the film one, I'm not going to say the names of these things, because I don't want anything to like, not that anyone would really watch this, or if I don't expect anyone to watch this, but if anyone actually did, I don't want like my ideas to get stolen, because I feel like that happens a lot. Which realistically, what it is that there's just so many people in the world, and they have ideas and I have ideas, and they're similar ideas, and it just like kind of sucks when I go, damn, I had that idea and now that idea is stolen, or it feels like it was stolen even though it wasn't. But the film one is going to be, the idea is that I will have a guest on. Well, actually, I mean, the idea is kind of like this for both, but more so the film one, where honestly, it'd be kind of sick to do that with music too, but like I don't want to like bite off anyone else's shit, and there's like a thing in our friend group that they kind of already do this. But the film one would be kind of like, the idea is that I have a guest on, and they, like the week before or days before, whatever we shoot it, I ask them to send me a film that they love, or that was formative to them as a child, like a film that they grew up watching, or a film they watched at an early age that was really important to them, that help them figure something out in their life, or define them, or they just really love a comfort film, something like that. And they'll send it to me, or they'll send me the whatever it is. I'll watch the movie, and then we'll talk about it for an hour, and we'll talk about the movie itself. We'll talk about things we loved about the movie, if there's, whatever. I'm not going to focus, and I don't really want to talk about and focus on things I didn't like at the movie, because I'm trying to like work with and establish like this like more positive mentality. Obviously there are things that happen in movies that like kind of like that we don't enjoy. That's fine. I mean, like it's but there was a quote that I remember really liking that I saw. It was Kevin Smith, who did like, Clerks and Jay and Silent Bob and Dogma and like Tusk. Love that guy. Where I think it was after his heart attack, where he was like, almost dying, put a lot of things into perspective for me, man. I said the man like he would. And he basically was like, I don't talk shit on films anymore, because I'm focusing on the positives. I want to talk about what I liked about a film. I don't want to shit on someone else's work and talk about what I didn't like. I'd rather sit there and I'd rather talk about what I did like and have a positive attitude towards it. And I'm like, I mean, honestly, that's probably just for the best, just in like life in general. But I want to do that, where I'm like, all right, well, what do you like about the film? This is what I liked about the film. this is what I viewed the film as, or like how I viewed this character and like this motivation or whatever. Let's talk. But I more so want to take the opportunity for me to listen, because in situations, especially like this, I talk a lot, I yap a lot, I go off, I pop off, I nerd out, I geek out, I won't shut the fuck up. I want to try to use this as an opportunity to let other people speak, and I just listen. And like, yeah, I will have things that I want to say, I'll do the introductions and all that stuff, but I want them to be able to say what they're talking, like what they want to say, and like talk about what they want to talk about, and how the film touched them as a person and affected them as a person. Because that's important to me, and I want to get to know these people like more on a deeper level, and also get to know like just like an appreciation of film and how film can affect us and can help form our morals, our ethics, our mentalities, our spirits, our thoughts. How films can affect us and drive us as people. Like, that'd be sick. And then the comic one isn't as much give me an artist or give me a film or a book or an artist. It's more like, here's a subject or a comic series or a character or something like that, and let's talk about it. Like you know, I have a friend who, you know, I posted something about like looking for people who wanted to come on and like do this kind of thing, and he replied almost instantly. I love this guy. You know, and he was like, yeah, I'd love to. He's like, you know, I want to talk about the X-Men. I was like, that's great. Let's do it. Let's talk about X-Men. That could probably be our first episode. Especially with like the idea, like all these X-Men characters coming back in Avengers Doomsday, which is a whole thing that I'd love to talk about at some point. Like, that'd be great. Let's talk about it. But I've been reading a lot more. I mean, I read and I collect comics. I've been reading a lot more trade paperbacks and reading a lot more of the events and the big stories, and collecting those. And I got my roommate on it too, which is kind of fun because now he's been reading a lot more comics as well, and I love that for him. And so I'm looking forward to doing more of that and like reading more comics, and like I love flexing comic knowledge. I posted on Threads like a month ago. I had a story, or I posted something about how I was at a bar in Worcester. I'm from Massachusetts, it doesn't matter, whatever. I realized it doesn't really fucking matter where I say. I post on Instagram all the time where I'm from. I was at a bar and I was watching a Celtics game, and these two guys were sitting next to me, also watching the game, and trailer for Thunderbolts comes on, and I was like, let's go. It was an earlier trailer, so like there was no, you know, they've got Bob, but they don't have any mention of Sentry. They don't have any mention of him and his powers or the Void or anything like that. And he said something about how he was like, he had heard, he's like, yeah, I heard a rumor or something like that. And at this point, we already knew Sentry was gonna be in the film. And he was like, about how like, he's like, yeah, I love. He's like, I think I heard that Sentry might be in this movie. He's like, dude, I'd love to see Sentry. And I'm like, oh yeah, Sentry is gonna be in this movie. He's like, that's him. And he was like, he said something like, dude, he's like, he's like, yo, when Null ripped him in half, dude, that was crazy. And I was like, well, you know why he did that, right? I was like, you know why he specifically wanted to rip him in half, right? And he's like, what? And why? Well, no, what? I just, you know. And I was like, well, it's because I don't know if it was Maximum Carnage, or the end of it, but there was like 10 years ago, or 10 years prior to King in Black, there was an event series where Sentry does that to Carnage, and he kills Carnage by ripping him in half, and it's crazy. So Null does the same exact thing to Sentry, and it's fucking nuts. Or I think it's the Void who technically rips Carnage in half, not Sentry, but it's crazy. And I like whipped that out, and he was like, he had no idea what I was talking about. He was like, oh, I didn't know that. And I was like, oh, sorry, man. I can't. I'm like, sometimes I just can't help flex the comic knowledge. Yeah, I don't know. I love shit like that. I love being able to, like, as nerdy things have kind of become the cultural norm. And like, because I remember in like the 2000s, like growing up as a kid, like, you know, you read comic books, you were a nerd. You played D&D, you were a nerd. You played video games, you were a nerd. And like, you got bullied for it. But then like, as the 2000s ended and the 2010s happened, people started being like, well, actually, hold on. And maybe it was just because I started hanging out with different people, but it felt like culturally, these things became a lot more accepted. Like Marvel movies were like the big thing, and like people were like excited when like Marvel or DC would release a new film. Well, not DC so much. Now DC, yes, but for a while, not so much DC because they were making a lot of stinkers. But people, yeah, it feels like there's like this more like, it's a lot more like, people are a lot more accepting of nerd culture, and people are embrace it a lot more and like it a lot more. Like, you're almost not cool if you don't watch the new Marvel stuff, or like, you know, like, or you're like, people will be like, oh, you're kind of lame if you don't like, yeah, superhero stuff or like nerd stuff, D&D stuff, and video games and stuff like that. But I just love, I don't know, like, I like talking to people about comic books. I think comic books are just so sick, especially for neurodivergent people, like my fucking ADHD ass. Like, yeah, I mean, like, I can read. Obviously, I know how to read. But, like, last time I tried to read a book this year, I got 50 pages in, and then I got distracted by something, and it was probably something shiny, and then I stopped reading. I haven't picked it up, and actually, I still got to return it to the library because I'm a fucking menace. But I love comic books because, first of all, it's a sick medium. I mean, like, you've got dialogue, you've got, like, you know, you've got written word that you're reading and storytelling, but you also have art. So it's a great, to me, it's an awesome blend of both, where, like, you have an artist who's drawing these pages, you have a colorist who's coloring it and doing the shading and doing all, like, editing, you have an editor editing the books, you have a writer, a head writer, and other people writing for it as well. Like, you have multiple people working on a team to get this book done, and I think that's really cool. Like, I would love to work on a comic book someday. That'd be sick. To have, like, a room of, like, 4 or 5 people, including the writer, the editor, the artist, the colorist, having these people, like, sitting at a table together talking about a book. Sounds so freaking cool. But I love spreading comic knowledge, and I love spreading the idea, like, people reading comics. You know, like, some of my favorite artists or writers are, you know, like Jonathan Hickman and Chip Zdarsky is really good. Obviously, like, John Romita Sr. Was one of the best comic book artists of all time. You know, all these books that, like, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee wrote were really cool. Peach Momoko is she's a sick ass fucking artist and writer. She's doing the Ultimate X-Men, and that's just so fucking cool. And, you know, like, I just think comic books as a medium, as an art form, are just really fucking sick. And I think you know, like, people who shit on comic books are fucking wild and invalid for that. I don't think it's valid at all to shit on them. First of all, shitting on something that someone else likes is kind of crazy, unless it's something that actually harms people. But yeah, so, like, the comic one, all that is to say that I want to do a comic series like that, where I talk about comic books, and I talk about comics, and I talk about characters and teams and stories and events and things like that someone will bring to me, or I'll be like, this is the subject, let's talk about it. Like, I'll talk to my buddy about, like, the X-Men stuff, or, like, if my roommate was ever on it, we'd probably talk about he just read through Hickman's Infinity Run, and now I have to pick up Time Runs Out, because I didn't realize Time Runs Out, like, took place between Infinity and Secret Wars. So there's like 1,000 pages of that book that take place between those two events. And I recently just read Secret Wars from 2016. So I finally got around to reading it. So I want to read Time Runs Out. I want him to read it so he can read Time Runs Out, read Secret Wars, and then both of us ready to go into Doomsday and Secret Wars. And be like, yeah, this is going to be so sick. But, you know, I've got, like, my Daredevil books that I collect. I've got my Spider-Man books that I collect. I got my single issues that I collect. Like, I've got, like, probably at this point, God, I don't even know. It's probably, like, 2,000 at least comic books in my collection. That's at least. I actually don't know what the accurate number is. I think at one point it was, like, 1,700, but that was a long time. It was a while ago. I haven't been collecting at the pace that I was before. I definitely am collecting fewer books than I was before. But I love collecting them, reading them, bagging and boarding them. I have a storage unit that I actually am going to end up getting rid of. I actually got to go this weekend to clear it out, full of comic books. Yeah, I got to figure out where I'm going to store it. I mean, I'm going to put them in our storage closet in our apartment, but we've talked about using that closet for something else. So it won't be like long-term storage, but yeah, because the freaking I signed up, or I got the storage unit like, God, I don't even know, maybe last May or last June, last summer or something like that. And it was like I got it because I mean it's not a very large one. It's a small like it's maybe like a 5 foot by 4 foot unit, and it was $17 a month. So I'm like, yeah, that's a great deal, sure. But then in I don't know, it was maybe November, December, they sent me a letter and they were like, oh, we're upping the fee from $17 to $34. I said, okay, cool, so you're doubling it. That sucks. And now I got a letter like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, saying that on the 16th, when they bill me again, they're upping it to $51, which I'm like, all right, cool, so now it's 3 times as much as it was when I first signed up. That sucks. I don't want to be paying $50 a month for a storage unit. I don't want to be paying $30 a month for a storage unit. So I'm going to go clear it out and cancel my storage unit because I'm like, I'm not going to be paying $50 a month for this. I was like, it was $17. Like, what? Like, you guys are just trying to, like, you guys are just gouging me. You guys are trying to, like, freaking increase the price for, yeah. They're trying to get all this fucking money out of me. And I'm like, joke's on you, I don't got money like that. I'm not liquid like that. I was like, Daddy don't got the sugar like that. So, like, shit. Now I gotta take my fucking comic books back and put them in a freaking closet or something. Which, I mean, I guess to be nice, because then I'll have, like, easier access to them all. But still, maybe it's time I start doing a project where I start going through all my books, figuring out what I'm missing, start trying to fill the holes again, and, like, put my actual full, complete collections of books together. Like, I've got all 100 issues, plus I've got duplicates and variants, and I've got the tie-in issues for, like, Nick Spencer's Amazing Spider-Man run. I think it was like volume 6 or volume 7 or something like that. Like, I've got all of the main series and all of the tie-ins for Absolute Carnage, for King in Black. I think I have them all for Blood Hunt too. I have a couple of War of the Realms books, but I don't have them all. So like I've got a pretty decent amount of books in my collection, which is sick. But I do have a lot of holes, especially because I haven't been collecting as much recently. So I have a lot of holes in my comic collection that I do need to start filling as well. So I'll probably end up doing that hopefully soon. I mean, it'd be great to live in a world where, like, I do well enough content creation wise and I start making a little bit of money on the side here so I can fund my content endeavors, but also get more comic books and shit like that. That'd be great. I love comic books. But yeah, who's to say? But I also, yeah, so I want to do that. I want to do stand-up. I want to go do stand-up, open mic stand-up somewhere. Maybe I'll even figure out a way to do that, like live stream that shit or put that shit online. That'd be great. And I also want to act. I want to start acting again. I want to start doing acting roles. I need to start getting auditions and I need to make a reel, and I need to start acting again because I loved acting in theater and I want to act in film. I was like, I think I'm a funny person. I have a big personality and I love acting. So I'm like, well, why would I not do that? And I know that, like, people are like, oh, well, I want to be an actor. It didn't work out for me. And I'm like, well, yeah, but you also have to have personality. Not to say that they don't, but, like, you can't just be like, I'm going to be an actor because I want to act. I want to be an actor. I want to be famous. I want to be on camera. It's like, yeah, no, that's all fine and good. Of course you do. Everyone wants to be famous and everyone wants to be rich. But, like, there are actors out there who don't get their freaking shot. They don't get their time in the spotlight for like 20 years. And that's, shit like that just happens. I'm aware of that. I'm well aware of that. But, like, you also have to have personality. You have to be able to network. You have to be able to go to events and get out there, do the press tour, and be charismatic and be friendly with people and, like, talk to people and not be afraid to take chances and not be afraid to take risks. Rather than, like, oh no, I'm not gonna, I'm too nervous or too anxious or too shy. I just, because obviously there are, like, really talented actors. A lot of them it's because either nepotism or because they're just beautiful, who like, you know, like they get stressed out or they get anxious and they don't go to press events, shit like that. It's fine. But for the majority of people who do not have connections and ties like that, you have to fight like hell to get in that industry. I was like, I've been in what, like 1 or 2 things, and it was like a short film and then like an indie film. And I don't have any speaking. I mean, I was the lead character in the short film. I unfortunately do not have access to that short at all anymore. I mean, I could get access to it, but that means I'd have to reach out to my old friend, to my old acquaintance, who recently tried to reach out to me and rekindle our friendship because he was super toxic and awful, and I don't really want to do that because I don't really have. I don't have the. I've gotten to that point in my life where I'm willing to forgive. Like I've forgiven him for his behavior, but I am at the point in my life where, like, it's like forgive and not forget. Where it's like, or like, it's more like I don't hold a grudge. I don't hold grudges, but I'm also not willing to make space in my life for people who've like scorned me, or not scorned, like scarred me, or who have like burned me. Or like I'm not gonna go out of my way to make space for someone in my life who treated me like shit. I'm willing to forgive and I'm willing to like be on good terms, but like I'm not gonna actively hang out with you and be your friend again. I just don't. I have enough going on. I have enough people in my life, and I have too much going on event wise, and I have too many things that I want to do career wise to justify or to make time. I was like, there are people who I'm good friends with who I haven't seen in months, and I try to make time for them. And that doesn't really work out, you know. I do my best, but it's also like I know that they also do their best, and like, you know, it's also on them to a point. But like, I'm not telling anybody I can't hang out. But I'm like, I just don't have a willingness to make space or to hold space for people who don't deserve, who I don't think deserve it, or who have wronged me, you know. But a tangent. I went off on a little tangent there. I apologize. That's how I am. But I mean, I've done a couple of things, nothing crazy. I really just like stream on Twitch, and I make. When I was in film school, I made a couple of things, and I was the person who starred in it because I was the only one I had access to, and that's fine. And I had access to that, but that's, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to rewatch through it. I mean, at the time, I thought I did okay because like it's hard. It's hard when you direct yourself, and it's hard when you are like the writer, the director, the editor, the star. When you're doing all that, you have to direct yourself. That shit ain't easy. Especially that's your first project that you're actually like actively working on. So I'd have to try to see if any of that footage is actually salvageable or actually usable. Because if it is, great. Then I can throw some of it in a sizzle reel with whatever the fuck else, or an actal reel, whatever. But realistically, like, I'm just gonna have to make something else or make something new and try. I don't know. I just gotta try. I gotta fight like hell. I just don't want to wake up 20 years from now regretting my life because I didn't actually take any chances or do the things I want to do. I mean, I've went back to school twice now, or I've gone back to school twice now, I should say. And both times I kind of realized that this isn't what I want to be doing. Like the first time I went back because I was trying to go to film. I wanted to do film school. I wanted to do film, and I ended up doing digital cinematography, which was cool because I took a class on like directing, and I took a class on like editing, and I took a class on like Adobe tools or whatever, and like framing and lighting, which was sick. But I don't want to be a cinematographer. It's too technical, and there's too many buttons on the camera. I just don't. That's not what I want to be doing. I think I would like to, and would have fun directing a project, but I don't think I'd want to be the cinematographer on a project or a movie. And then I realized that I want to be more on like I want to be on camera, but also like, yeah, I like to tell stories. So I was like, well, why don't I go to school for creative writing, screenwriting, and I can go be a screenwriter because I like the screenwriting class I took. And then like a year and a half in, I wasn't doing super hot in school, but not because. It's not because I don't. It's not like because I'm a bad student. Like I'm not an idiot. I'm like I think that I'm a smart person, but I I wasn't doing the work, and it wasn't like out of laziness. It was just out of like I didn't have motivation to. I didn't feel like I was like challenged enough, if that makes sense, which is kind of crazy because it's like, well, you didn't do the work, so like, what do you mean you weren't challenged enough? Like, was it too hard? I'm like, no, it felt like it was too easy, and I felt like I was given like points, and I felt like I was like scoring too well for like courses that I wasn't doing that great in. And that could just be because it's online class or online college, and like they just like value, or they just like will grade whatever as long as you turn it in on time. I don't know. It just kind of felt like I was like wasting, like, I was like taking out more and more student loans for something that just felt like useless. I didn't feel like I was actually learning anything in this course. And I was like, I don't even know if I want to be a screenwriter. I was like, I like writing, but I think I'd rather write as a hobby or as like a creative outlet. But I don't think I'd want to write, like screenwrite for as like a job. So I'm not doing that anymore. And then I was like, it kind of dawned on me that I'm like, I just like to entertain people. I don't want to be behind the scenes writing stuff or whatever, or the cinematographer. I want to be on camera. I want to be front and center. I want to be leading man. I want to be on the red carpet. I want to be doing the press tour. Jesus, freaking last minute freaking turn signal. Jesus Christ. I want to be on camera. I want to be the leading man, front and center, on the red carpets. I want to be like doing press junkets, doing press tours, flying out places, like meeting people, signing things, like at our local place. Like I love going to I'm a regular there, and like it's a bopping place. I love walking in and having like 20 people recognize who I am, and like I walk up and dap up the homies, say hi to people, like people, like I'll go to the bar. First round is usually free, or like I'll be bartenders will just like pour shots and shit like that. I love it, but it's like, yeah, they just like having me around, and it's like, yeah, of course, like I go there, I spend money, but like I don't really spend that much, especially now that like some of my drinks end up being covered. Like I don't spend that much. It's just because I get along with them all, and like we're all homies, so it's like. But I love going places and having people recognize and know who I am. I fucking love that shit. I love being known. I love when people know who I am. And I'm like, yeah, so being famous would be great. But I also like acting. I like pretending. I like playing different roles. And I like dressing up in costumes and pretending. That's why I love D&D so much. I love like pretending like I'm someone else. And like, I just have a lot of fun with it. So I want to do that for a living. I would love to do that for a living. Figure out how to make that happen. Damn, what the hell's going on over here? We got like 4 people getting out of, no, actually, it's like 7 people getting out of a van. Interesting. Got like 7 people getting out of a fucking van. Huh. Very odd. Yeah, I don't know. I want to do that for a living. I want to do that shit. I love that shit. I want to find a way to do that thing, like, as my job. I want to find a way to be more creative and, like, find a creative outlet to, like obviously, like, I stream on Twitch, I have my Instagram, whatever, I post on Instagram a lot. These days, it's really just a lot of me posting myself, photos of myself, gym selfies, workout stuff, progress pics on the new bod. I lost 40 pounds since October, and that's including putting on muscle, which is the thing that's the craziest part to me. I'm hoping that if I can continue at this rate, and I think that throughout the summer, I'm going to keep doing my thing where I, like, every 3 weeks I raise the weight 5 pounds. I think that at the end of the summer, towards the end of the summer, I'm going to stop doing that, and I'm just going to stay at like a steady weight, like, and just keep using the same weight on the machines, but like maybe I'll do like more reps of them or something like that, or just like whatever, just to keep the muscle. But I don't want to, like, I don't need to keep growing the muscle. I don't need to keep, like, I don't need to, like, when I get to a point where, like, because I do the curl, right? And I do, right now I'm at like 170, I think. So I'm like, all right, well, that's 85 pounds per arm that I can curl. When I get to a point when I can curl like 115, 120 pounds per arm, which is, I mean, that's kind of crazy. You do 100 pounds, that's like 200 total, or for the two. I don't need to be curling more than 100 pounds per arm. I'm like, why? So I can like go curl like a small woman, or like curl a child. Be like, yeah, I can fucking curl a child. Like I don't need to go that crazy. My arms are already looking great. So like as I lift more and the weights do get heavier, my arms are just gonna keep looking a little bit like looking bigger and looking great. But I don't want them to look gigantic. I don't need to become like Hulk sized. So I'm not going to. So I'm gonna get to that point where like I'm gonna stop putting on as much muscle, but I'm not gonna change my diet. My diet's still gonna stay the same. So I'm kind of hoping that means that if I, depending on how things go, that maybe by October I'll be down another 30 or 40 pounds. I'll be sick, because then I'd be close. So when I started initially, this was during the end of the pandemic, like after like staying at home for all that time and eating all that crap. I weighed like 420 pounds, which is the heaviest I've ever been. I was big. I was approaching like 4XL territory, and I hated that. I hated myself. I did not like how I felt. So I made some changes when I started my job 4 years ago, and then I made some changes and I lost 70 pounds. And I was like, whoa, 70 pounds is crazy. Obviously, that's crazy. I lost that in like 4 months. I was like, it's crazy. Winter came by. Eggnog came out, holidays came around, so I was like, and I wasn't going to, I wasn't really going to the gym as much, but I was getting a lot of steps in at work and stuff like that. And next thing you know, I I gained like 30 of it back, something like that, 40 of it back, so I was back up to like 390, and I stayed between like 380 and 390. I think the lowest I had gotten was like 377. For like 2 years, because I was putting on some muscle, but like not a whole lot, but I wasn't like watching what I was eating as much, and so I was and I wasn't doing as much cardio, I wasn't playing, whatever. So I was staying in that weight range. Then I moved to Webster, and the number of temptations are gone, and I was able to like stick to a steady diet. And I've been putting on a bunch of muscle. I've been putting on more and more muscle every week. And now I'm at 350. I weighed myself yesterday for the first time since October, and I weigh 350, which is crazy. Hoping that means that if I can keep it, if I don't plateau, if I can keep going, by the time I hit October again, that I'll be weighing like 310 or whatever. That'd be awesome. Because then I'm like, if I can get down to 300 pounds by the end of the year, that'd be sick. 300 pounds by the end of the year, and then that means that I can just push myself to my eventual goal is that I would love to be at like 240, 250 is like where I want to end up. I think that I'm a big guy, 6'3", with muscle. I think weighing about 240, 235, 240 is a good healthy weight where I'll look fucking hot as fuck. Not that big people don't look hot. Big people can be hot. I know that. A lot of it also comes down to me wanting to make sure I'm physically healthy. I come from a family of people who have heart problems. I don't want to go into my 30s with heart problems. I want to make sure that I have a strong, healthy heart, and I want to make sure that I'm a strong, healthy person going into my 30s, especially if I'm going to start doing all this acting shit and this career stuff. So like that's why I'm like, my goals, I'm going to be 28 next month. So my goal is that by the time I'm 30, I've hit my weight goal. I'm still looking good, I'm feeling healthy, and I have both of my arm sleeves done. I'd love to start my back piece by then, but I want to have both my arm sleeves done. And I'm actually probably like 40% done with this arm now, and like maybe like 20% done with this arm. So I'm hoping that by then I got my shit together, and I've also been able to just like take care of it and get my arms done so that I can be hot as fuck with my tattoos. But again, so all of that, whatever, content creation, stand-up comedy, acting career, all things that I want to start kicking off this year, so that way I can fucking quit my job and just do something I actually care about for once. And that's the goal. So we're going to try to get that podcast off the ground soon. And now I'm hitting the 45-minute mark. I am home now. So it is time for me to go upstairs and chug a Celsius, maybe die, go to the gym, leg day, work my ass off, and go from there. I do gotta pee too. But I'll probably end up doing this again. I'll probably end up posting this somewhere, and maybe I'll post it on YouTube. I'll do like a YouTube series kind of thing, and like it'll be. I mean, I'm not gonna like go through all the trouble of editing it and putting it on, like having my video end tag or whatever, because I want to edit that. I want to edit that too and change that a little bit. But yeah, I'm not gonna go through all that trouble. I think I'm just gonna post this as it is, and whenever I do long drives. I mean, even just on my way home, like 40 to 45 minutes, you know, just do a 45-minute car ride home. Call it like Car Ride Chronicles or something like that. Some stupid shit like that. Or like sitting with Sasquonch, and it's just me driving. Sitting with Sasquonch is kind of sick. Maybe I'll do that. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll title it that. But just a video series and just like be like episode 1, the future. But anyone who likes to listen to me talk or thinks I'm funny, fucking hell yeah. You're the best. You're the GOAT. So I hope that you guys find this entertaining in some capacity, and, you know, we'll go from there. So peace out.